We will go to SB 1431. Members, I know there are overlapping committee hearings, and we'll do our best to accommodate everyone's schedule, but as much as you can be in the room, the faster we'll get through the file. Senator Simitian, SB 1431.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. This measure is designed to allow counties who participate in the County Health Initiative Matching Fund Program to provide health care using local dollars, which are then matched by federal dollars, in order to provide coverage to qualified low-income children who are unable to enroll in our state's Healthy Families Program or whose family income is at or below 400% of the federal poverty level. Madam Chair, I understand this measure is a suspense candidate because of the amount of federal funds which might be involved. Let me just highlight a couple of quick points. The first is there are already provisions in state law that say that no funds are available for these county efforts, which are currently participated in by San Francisco, Santa Clara, and San Mateo. No funds are currently available from federal funds unless the federal funds have already been deemed adequate for the state's Healthy Families commitment. So our needs are first assessed at the state level before any funds are eligible for release to the locals. Second point is that there are no state funds whatsoever used. There are minor administrative costs that the state bears in order to allow this program to work, but those funds are fully reimbursed. The third point is that, in fact, we have sent $1.5 billion in federal funds back over the years because we have not been able to use it. So it's simply a question of letting locals pick up the slack where they can, if they choose to do so, using federal funds, no cost to feds. And finally, Madam Chair, as someone who has listened to the words cost pressure, cost pressure, cost pressure over and over and over again in my decade here, this bill reduces cost pressure on the state because to the extent that the locals and the feds can pick up the slack, that means the state won't have to do that, and it reduces cost pressure. And I would ask for the bill to come off suspense when that time comes, Madam Chair.
And your witnesses.
Madam Chair, Member Stacey Dwelly on behalf of the County of San Mateo, sponsors of the bill. And Senator Simitian is absolutely correct. It's county money and federal money for the match. So there are limited cost pressures to the state.
Thank you. Any additional testimony?
Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of Santa Clara County here in strong support.
Very good. Any additional testimony in favor? Opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment? I do not have a comment. All right. This item goes to suspense unless there's member comment. And there isn't. Next is 1443. This is a due pass. Senator Simitian, you can begin.
Senator Wolk and I co-authored a bill back in 2008, asked that a task force be pulled together to do some work in connection with the Delta. We hope that they'll get that work done before the sunset, January 1st, 2011, but they may not. This bill simply extends the sunset date to make sure there's adequate time, but just to make sure that the task force goes away as soon as they complete the work. That's what the bill says. If they get the work done before the sunset, then the task force is disbanded. Thank you, our committee staff, for working with us, and ask for an aye vote, Madam Chair.
And do you have votes, Senator Simitian?
I don't believe so, Madam.
Proponents, supporters, opposition? Is there any opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a...
The department is neutral on the measure, and we do not believe it would have any costs.
Madam Chair, I move the bill.
Thank you very much. Senator Leno moves the bill. We will call the roll, please.
Cahill?
Aye.
Cahill, aye. Cox?
Aye.
Cox, aye. Alquist. Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters? Wolk? Wolk, aye. Wyland? Yee? 6-0.
6-0. We'll keep that bill, the file open, excuse me, the count open for the members who are in other committees. So, Senator Simitian, your last item is SB 1469?
Yes, Madam Chair.
And
members.
this is suspense also.
Thank you. One of the unaddressed issues in the package of water bills that was passed last year was the lack of a stable, long-term funding source to actually implement the package. In the absence of such a plan or identified set of funds, we're, for better or worse, continuing the current funding practice of sort of ad hoc appropriations from existing bond funds, reappropriation of previously budgeted but unspent appropriations from various funds, and sort of simply hoping that this thing will sort itself out in the future. That, of course, won't happen unless we take steps now. In my view, this means that some serious thought needs to be given to what our real infrastructure needs will be, how much we'll need to invest in the various restoration efforts, and under a beneficiary pays concept, precisely who will benefit from these investments. Or as we've discussed previously, when is it private benefit, when is it public benefit, when is it shared benefit, and what are the various ratios and proportions of responsibility. This bill is intended to be the vehicle to start that analysis and discussion, and I respectfully ask for the bill to come off suspense.
There's submitting testimony in favor of SB 1469 in favor. Is there opposition testimony for SB 1469? Finance, do you have a comment?
The Water Board estimates that it would need 4 positions and $520,000 to implement the provisions of this bill. The Department of Water Resources estimates it would need 3 half-time positions and $400,000 through 2013 and $200,000 annually thereafter. Both of these departments would be funded through the general fund as appropriate. Proposition 84 funding is already allocated for other activities.
All righty. If there's no comments, members, and this
I have a
Chair,
question.
just briefly.
Senator Corbett?
Yes. Senator Simitian, I know that you used a slightly different approach in a previous measure with regard to determining how the benefactors would share. And I know the bill currently is asking that you assign some sort of fee to all those that benefit along that corridor, whether they be Highway 12 users, recreational boat users, etc.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I'm just wondering if you can just maybe explain just very, very briefly what your thinking is on how to assign the,
I want to be very clear that the bill does not, in its current form, call for the assessment of fee on anyone. Rather, it is an effort to tee up that conversation, which I think we're going to have whether the state water bond passes or fails. The question is, we created this infrastructure for dealing with water issues going forward, but we didn't create the financing mechanism that's going to allow it to be sustained. So the goal here, Senator Corbett and members, is to say, let's ask folks to start to think about what are the infrastructure needs going to be, what are the environmental restoration costs and obligations going to be. Can't figure out who ought to pay what until you know what it is you're going to ask them to pay for, so that's the starting point. And then, as I say, the next point of the conversation is, all right, where there's private benefit, private beneficiaries ought to pay. Where there's public benefit, it's reasonable to ask the public to pay. Where there's shared benefit, then the question is, what's the proportion or ratio of public to private benefit? And then to your point about sort of specifics, then the next step is to drill down even further and start the conversation among various interests about what is their percentage allocation of cost obligation going forward. And that's the only way that we can get to a discussion about that.
So maybe I can ask this question. So what do you anticipate as your process for ensuring that we hear from all the various parties and that the cost is assigned to the various benefactors?
Well,
I know that's no easy task.
That's right. And that's why we've asked the board and the DWR to undertake this challenge. I'm frankly, back through the chair, if I may, I don't think those costs ought to be attributed to the bill, because I think those are things that ought to be being done right now in order to make the existing system work, but they are not being done right now. So this is an effort to try and provide some direction about how to use existing organizations, existing institutions, and existing resources to make sure that these questions get asked and answered, if not with finality, at least tee up the conversation, so that when we suddenly find ourselves confronting the cost going forward, we aren't starting from scratch in a political environment. Those questions hopefully have already at least begun to be answered through this process in the administration.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Corbett. Thank you, Senator Simitian. I'll take that as your close. This is a suspense item with no objection. It'll go to suspense.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Thank you. And members, there's no author present, but if authors are within the sound of my voice who are not on the committee, that is Senators Negretti McLeod, Senator Cedillo, Senator Hollingsworth, Pavley, Steinberg, I guess is waiting. We'll get to them. Meantime, we will go to Senator Corbett. Thank you for your patience, Senator Corbett. This is SB 1098, athlete agents. And it's a candidate for suspense, and you may begin whenever you're ready.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. I do know this is a candidate for suspense. SB 1098 will enact the Uniform Athlete Agents Act. This bill is part of the Uniform Law Commission's work this year, and will put in place standards for the actions of athlete agents. Nearly 40 other states have already adopted this language. Sports are a big business, even at the collegiate level. When athlete agents recruit student athletes while they are still in school, this can cause eligibility problems for both the student and the school if an unscrupulous agent misleads a student. This bill the intent of this bill is to protect athletes by requiring disclosures, registration, and record keeping, and the agents, the record keeping by the agents, and allows the Department of Industrial Relations to deny or revoke registration of an applicant whose conduct has a significant adverse effect on his or her fitness to act as an athlete agent. California's different reporting requirements can cause confusion for students, universities, and agents. And as this bill is on consent, we've already had discussions with staff, and I just wanted to let you know that we are definitely interested in removing the perjury provision, as has been suggested. We're also willing to remove the appropriation language, which was of concern, and we're also willing to delay implementation to allow for the funding of this program. So I think that might address all of your issues. And with that, I hope you look at it favorably during suspense.
We will, and there is some clarification of the amendments that are also under discussion, Senator Corbett.
Okay.
Do you have any testimony in favor of SB 1098? Is there any 1098? All right, no need to run. Safety first. Your timing is perfect. This is SB 1098 on athlete agents, and then we'll take opposition testimony.
Madam Chair, Barry Brota on behalf of the Association of Talent Agents. We strongly support this measure. We helped draft the initial law that this is updating and amending. We think it's appropriate, and we support the bill.
Thank you very much. Any other support testimony? Is there opposition testimony? Seeing none. Finance, do you have a comment?
DIR estimates startup costs of $535,000 for the first year and ongoing costs of $500,000.
All righty. That item, unless there's comment, will go to suspense without objection.
Should be able to become self-supporting, I hope.
Good.
Thank you.
And then, Senator Corbett, your last item is SB 1100, household batteries.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Looks like you've got some testimony coming up here already. Whenever you're ready.
Senate Bill 1100 will require extended producer responsibility for household batteries. Specifically, SB 1100 will require battery manufacturers to design, fund, and operate a stewardship program to properly manage batteries in order to sell their products in California. SB 1100 will also require battery manufacturers to meet collection goals each year and report data to the Department of Resources, Recycling, and Recovery, who will oversee the implementation of each manufacturer's stewardship plan. The department will set a fee to cover the costs of implementation, and SB 1100 gives flexibility to producers on how to deal with the end of life for their products in the most cost-effective way possible. All household batteries, including alkaline batteries, are currently classified in California as universal waste and banned from solid waste landfills. For that reason, they pose a significant liability to California's landfills and creates a hardship. Cities struggle with huge costs to manage this waste. Local governments and taxpayers pay up to $2,700 per ton, which amounts to $68 million each year for every battery sold in California. Battery manufacturers are currently participating in other countries' stewardship programs where household batteries are being collected and recycled, which creates jobs without bankrupting local governments or inconveniencing consumers. We're working with Tech America and its members on the issue of batteries that are difficult to remove, and we're also working with the industry-sponsored Rechargeable Battery Recycling Corporation, which collects rechargeable batteries in California and will collect both rechargeable and alkaline batteries under Canada's product stewardship laws to come up with collection rate goals that are workable. With me today, I have Todd Coy from Kink-Spursky Brothers and Heidi Sanborn from the Product Stewardship Council to testify in support of the bill.
Very good. We'll go to your witnesses. Important issue. It's impossible to get rid of batteries.
Madam Chair, Justin Malone, on behalf of the sponsors, Alameda County Waste Management Authority, I'd like to yield my time to the two experts here.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Senators. My name is Todd Coy. I'm the Executive Vice President of Kink-Spursky Brothers. We are a battery recycling facility located in Anaheim, California. We have three facilities, one in California, one in Canada, one in Ohio. We currently manage about 42,000 tons of batteries per year. Last year, we alone collected 1.4 million
Will you pull that
pounds.
mic down just a little bit?
Sure. Is this better?
Well, right there, yeah.
Farther away? Sorry about that.
That's all right. It's not your fault.
Well,
Go ahead.
as you know, batteries are considered a hazardous waste in California. Just to point out a couple of things about the batteries themselves in general, the battery manufacturers have done a great job in removing the added mercury component from dry cell batteries. However, we are still seeing mercury present in the batteries at levels of about 119 ppm. Just to give a comparison to that, CFLs currently average about 5 milligrams or 5 ppm mercury as well. In those products, as we know that those are being looked at right now to get that mercury level reduced as well. There are 4 billion batteries introduced into the U.S. each year. Dry cell batteries contain about 15% of zinc by weight. Common lead or common zinc ore contain anywhere from 3 to 10% zinc per ton. And as you can see, 15% back to an alkaline battery is a significant proportion of zinc to that material. In addition, alkaline batteries contain 21% electrolytic manganese dioxide, which today is roughly 10 times or 15 times the price of lead. It is a higher cost than nickel and almost as expensive as cobalt. Each one of those three battery chemistries or materials are common in battery applications, and each one of those applications or those chemistries enjoy significant recycling and collection successes in the U.S. So with that said, we do support 1100, and we hope that you do as well.
Thank you. Next, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. I'm the Executive Director of the California Product Stewardship Council, and we represent over 90 local governments and associations, such as the Southern California Association of Governments, and hundreds of California businesses, NGOs, and individuals that support the concept of product stewardship. Product stewardship does drive green design, which will reduce the life cycle costs and the public costs. And batteries are one of our top 3 costs to the public household hazardous waste programs. Currently, the private sector profits from battery sales and externalizes the cost of disposal on the taxpayers and the ratepayers, which grows government. Currently, for comparison, solid waste costs in California between $30 and $110 a ton to manage, but batteries cost as much as $2,700 a ton. It's basically 25 times the cost of solid waste. Not only are the government-managed programs extremely expensive, but they're inconvenient and ineffective, as we collected only 2,000 of 19,000 waste batteries in 08-09. So California cannot continue to impose these unfunded mandates on local governments by just banning products from disposal, such as batteries, without any financial or planning partnership from the producers of these products. We urge your support for SB 1100. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Madam Chairman, Chair, members, Paul Smith with the Regional Council of Rural Counties, representing 31 rural counties. We would concur greatly with the staff analysis, which prepared a good analysis of the costs to local government. These are very expensive items for local governments to handle. We believe it's best appropriate to have the private industry handle these products, get them off the ratepayer and the taxpayers back. We urge a strong support.
Thank you. Next, please.
Kira Ross on behalf of the League of California Cities. For all the reasons previously stated, in strong support of this bill. It's a big cost to local government that we are trying to work with.
Thank you. Next, please.
Leslie Daniel, Sierra Club, California. Strong support.
Madam
Yes.
Chair and members, Bill Seiberling with the representing the LA County Board of Supervisors, also in support of the measure. Thank you.
All righty. Next, please.
Michael Radigan on behalf of the Board of Supervisors of Santa Clara County here in support.
Very good.
Hugh Bauer on behalf of the City of Sacramento, also in support.
Very good. Ms. Gladstein.
Margaret Gladstein on behalf of the California Retailers Association, also in support.
Very good. Any other testimony in favor? Opposition testimony. Opposition. Go right ahead.
Madam Chair, members, Ralph Simone representing the National Electrical Manufacturers Association. Allow me one brief policy statement to frame the fiscal impacts of this bill. First, the bill deals with rechargeable batteries and alkaline batteries. As to rechargeable batteries that power your cell phone, your laptop, and other devices, many of these batteries do contain toxic chemicals, cadmium, summer sealed lead acid. There are other battery chemistries that do not belong in the landfill. Now, contrast that to your general alkaline batteries that would power a remote control device, etc. About 12 to 15 years ago, the industry removed mercury from those batteries, so there are no toxic or harmful chemicals in those batteries. As to rechargeable batteries, the industry has voluntarily organized throughout the United States and in California a voluntary collection system. They have a full-time person in California who works in this stewardship program. They report annually to formerly the Waste Board, now Cal Recycle. So as to those batteries, incurring the cost there's no need for that. As to alkaline batteries, there is a substantial cost for remediating these batteries. We sympathize with the local governments who are up here testifying in support. However, we believe that when we have been given no science that would indicate that these batteries are harmful if randomly disposed in a landfill.
So you can throw them in the trash?
Yes, the alkaline batteries.
Flashlight batteries, remote controls, you're saying throw them in the trash?
That is correct. And no other state has any restriction on that whatsoever. In terms of the cost, your committee analysis properly states that this is a special fund cost. The cost will be paid for by manufacturers when they get their program approved, and annual cost, etc. However, the last sentence in the committee analysis also discusses the substantial cost to the consumers. DTSC, when they looked at this in the year 2000, estimated between $152 and $180 million to fully fund a battery program. When you do the math and divide by the number of alkaline batteries sold in the state, it comes out to around 30 to 36 cents per battery. And these batteries are not recycled. With all due respect to the gentleman from Kinsbursky Brothers, they are shipped out of state. They're not remediated into secondary products like beverage containers, etc. So these would be costs that would be incurred by the consumer. We think they're necessary. We would like to join with local governments to have somebody look at whether or not there is science as to whether alkaline batteries are harmful when they are distributed in a landfill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members, Joe Gregorich on behalf of Tech America, the nation's largest high-tech trade association. As the Senator said, we have been in conversations with the Senator's office regarding our opposition. She mentioned that we're talking to them about easily removable batteries, trying to exclude those batteries that are not easily removed from products. In addition to that, as Mr. Simone said, there are various other programs in place, such as the cell phone recycling law that was passed, I believe, in 2006, and then the rechargeable battery law that was passed, I believe, that's either that 2006 or 2004, both by then Assembly Member Pavley. So we believe that since there are existing California law on cell phones and rechargeable batteries, those products should be excluded as well.
Thank you. Finance, do you have a comment?
Cal Recycle estimates that the annual cost for implementation would be $281,000 from the new fee revenue and account established in the bill, and would require 3.5 positions.
Madam Chair, I move the bill.
Thank you, Senator Leno. Members, any comments? Senator Price.
To the author. This notion of a product stewardship plan is kind of interesting. I've never really heard it before. Is it something that we've seen success in other industries or other fields or at other times? And are there some discussions going on now about developing such a plan?
Yes, I'll let one of the witnesses answer that. There are successful programs. There are examples, and you can talk about them if you'd like.
Yes, there are. Actually, we're one of the few industrialized countries that really haven't embraced product stewardship. Most industrialized countries have been using these policies for 20 years to deal with problem products. It's not an appropriate policy for every product, but for things that are very expensive, don't have an infrastructure, where you really need to level the playing field in order to have manufacturers support it. Countries like Japan, all of Europe, Europe's had the battery directive, since 2002? And even Canada's embracing it across the entire nation. They just had a conference last week and talked about harmonizing all their product stewardship rules. British Columbia, as a matter of fact, RBRC, who has a voluntary program here for rechargeable batteries, just proposed an entire program that they are the best equipped to take back all types of batteries in British Columbia, and it's the same exact group that's operating here in California.
Thank you.
And they're saying it would only be 1 to 3 cents per
Thank
battery.
you. Senator Leno, I think, is last speaker.
Senator Corbett or your proponents, if you could respond to the comments made by Mr. Simone that there's nothing dangerous in these batteries
Yes,
and
I'd
that
be
they're
glad.
safe to be tossed into the landfill.
I'd be glad to answer that, and I also think that it would be important to address the comment that these batteries are not used and not recycled, and I'd like the recycler to address that issue. But these are toxic waste. The reason that they cost $2,700 per ton to track by our local governments is that they are toxic. It is against the law to toss them in our waste stream. We all know that. I hope none of you throw your batteries in the garbage. But they are treated that way, and they can cause problems in landfills in the future and create toxic situations and lawsuits against communities that allow these toxics to be tossed in the landfill. So therefore, future liability for our communities, that we shouldn't be placing this liability on them. So we're asking for a program that would allow people to do like they do today with other sorts of recyclables, take them someplace where they can be recycled and, in fact, create new jobs here in this state. And I think maybe we should have the expert address the fact that
Recycling the batteries?
Mr. Simone is correct in that today there's not currently any recycling activities taking place in the state of California for dry cell alkaline batteries. A couple reasons for that. One, the volume of batteries that have been collected to date have not been significant enough to dedicate the capital resources to justify a plant. Two, the permitting has been onerous within the state of California to establish essentially a hazardous waste treatment for batteries. That being said, we have gone through our new permit renewal process. We're classified as a Part B environmental company in California. We have bookmarked within our permit and do have plans to break ground to build a California-based battery recycling plant.
What do you do with the ones you get now?
We're working with
the. Don't mind me jumping in, Senator Leno.
No, we currently work with a primary zinc smelting company up in Canada, in Trail, Canada, called Tech Cominco.
You ship them there?
We ship them there.
And then what do they do with them?
They enter them into.
How are they recycled?
They put them into the furnace for zinc recovery, is what they're currently doing.
All righty.
That 15% zinc is what I was referring to earlier, which is a pretty good concentrate.
And then that's reused for something?
Yes.
Okay. All right, members, this is a do pass. I think Senator Leno made that motion. We will call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox? No. Cox, no. Alquist, Corbett? Aye. Corbett, aye. Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters? Wolk?
Aye.
Wolk, aye. Wyland? Yee? 5-1.
5-1. Senator Corbett will hold that roll open.
Thank you.
For those members in other committees, Mr. Yee has several bills. And then members who are not on the committee that we're expecting, Senator Negrete McLeod, she's in B&P, is that it? Senator Cedillo, Senator Hollingsworth, Senator Pavley. But for now, we will go. Senator Negrete McLeod is a waived presentation. Thank you. So we're not expecting her. But we will go to Senator Wolk now, who has two items, SB 1173 on recycled water. That's a do pass, and then we'll take up your second one.
1173 will expand existing law to promote the use of recycled water in place of raw water for non-potable uses such as industrial cooling and landscape irrigation. 1173 maintains the existing process, which is the State Water Resources Control Board is responsible for determining that the water is of adequate quality, adequate availability, it is of comparable cost to sources of raw or potable supply. This process ensures that not only is the public health protected, but the customers won't be subject to rate increases due to use of recycled water. This is intended to increase our limited water supplies throughout the state and prevent excess diversion from more fragile water systems. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Wolk. Is there testimony in favor of 1173? SB 1173. Is there opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment?
The Water Board estimates that the bill could result in an additional hearing every 2 to 3 years, and each additional hearing is $65,000. The Department of Finance believes this would be minor and absorbable.
All righty.
I move the bill.
Senator Leno moves the bill. Without further comment, then, we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox? Alquist, Corbett? Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, I. Price?
Aye.
Price, I. Walters? Wolk?
Aye.
Wolk, I. Wyland? Yee? 4-0.
4-0. We'll hold the roll open. Cox, no.
Cox, no.
And that makes
4-1.
the count is 4-1, Senator Woke, and we'll leave it open. And now your next item is income and corporation taxes, SB 1272.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, this is part of the tax expenditure accountability bills that will be coming before you. Senator Yee, Senator Flores, Assembly Members Skinner and Swanson. This bill essentially applies performance measurements for tax expenditures, for future tax expenditures. I think there is no good reason not to evaluate tax expenditure programs with the same rigor that we use when we judge spending decisions, especially when our tax preference portfolio now approaches $41 billion, equal to half of our total revenue. We cannot change existing preferences, but we can start keeping better track of future tax preferences. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Woke. Testimony in favor?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Jeremy Smith here on behalf of the California Labor Federation, proud to be the sponsors of this legislation. Very briefly, there's no transparency, no accountability, no sunshine on any of these tax expenditures, and very rarely in the enacting legislation for them is any language laid out about what they're for, what they're going to do, and why we need to have them. This is a common sense bill to look at what we're spending, what goes out the door. $41 billion goes out the door. In these tough budget times, we need to be able to know where all the money's going, what it's for, and if it's working. So for those reasons, we support the bill. Thanks.
Thank you.
Would the gentleman,
Senator Cox.
Would the gentleman support a similar bill that was placed upon all bills that passed out of the Appropriations Committee in similar fashion, so that we might have that transparency and accountability that you just talked about?
Well, we are all for transparency and accountability in these tough budget times. I would certainly need to see any sort of bill, see the language, see what it would entail. But we're always willing to talk, Senator Cox, at the Labor Federation.
Labor as well as in any other program in the state.
I'm sorry, what was the first part of that question?
I said labor or any other bill in the state of California.
We would have to see the language of any such bill to see what it actually said.
Thank you for your response.
Senator Wyland.
Just briefly, I can understand the review of tax credits. That makes perfect sense to me. The only problem that I would have with the automatic sunset is then it creates a lot of unpredictability for the people who've invested to create jobs. And my biggest concern in the state right now, and I think this is something that labor has not fully grasped, not intentionally, just unintentionally, is that aside from the national recession, we've got one in California, and it's disinvestment in this state, which is happening to the tune of billions and billions of dollars. And we've had this debate in the past, but now because of the big public companies, we see it. And ultimately, for the public employee labor groups, that's an enormous loss of tax revenue. And my concern is that there's so much focus on, well, if there's a tax credit or this or that, that's a cost. I have no problem with reviewing every single one of those things. I don't see a problem with that. My concern, though, is that something we're doing wrong. And it's because the flow of these, and one great example is Intel, $7 billion in neighboring states. And when you talk to them, they say, we'll never build anything in California again. And my concern is the jobs and ultimately the tax revenue. So I'm not at all opposed to reviewing all these things. My concern is that if you just do it automatically, it doesn't come back and the jobs go.
Thank you. Let me see. Is there more testimony?
Opposition.
Opposition. All righty. So we're finished. Is there any additional support testimony? Seeing none, we'll take opposition now. And then, Senator Woke, I'll let you respond on your close. Thank
Madam Chair, Chris McKaylee on behalf of several colleagues, the California Manufacturers Association, Tech America, California Aerospace Technology Association. We continue to work with the author and staff on this language. We too, as has been identified by several of your members, don't have objections to the general approach of evaluating. And I think as Senator Wolk has set forth, the specifics for each type of tax expenditure program and their evaluation and the criteria used would be set forth rather than some cookie-cutter approach. We believe the same ought to hold true with the sunset date provision. Conceptually, the business community has supported it previously with the R&D credit, and after several extensions, it was made permanent. There was both a evaluation criteria and a target number of jobs with the manufacturer's investment tax credit, and a sunset on that as well. So historically, there's been support. We share the concern that Senator Weiland just outlined, which is an automatic sunset. We think that rather than specifying whether it be 7 years or longer, instead ought to be evaluated with each specific TEP in the same vein as the evaluation criteria is done on a per proposal basis as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional testimony against SB 1272? Seeing none. Finance, do you have a comment on this one?
I don't have a file on this.
All righty. This is a do pass.
Move the bill.
Senator Leno moves the bill. If there's no further discussion, we'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox?
No.
Cox, no. Alquist. Corbett? Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters?
No.
Walters, no. Wolk?
Aye.
Wolk, aye. Wyland?
No.
Wyland, no. Yee? 4-3.
4-3. You need
We need two more.
two more votes, Senator Wilk, and we're leaving the roll open now because members are in other committees. Let me see. We will go to Senator Leno. Any other members of the committee? Senator Yee has to present on behalf of Senator Romero. And then we'll take up the waive presentations, members, and that should get us pretty much to the end of the file. Senator Leno, you are taking up SB 1329,
Yes.
and this is a do pass.
Thank you, Madam Chair, committee members. Among those who have been victims of the ongoing plague of this foreclosure debacle, though often overlooked, are the over 170,000 seniors who are residents of our residential care facilities for the elderly. There are approximately 8,000 of them here in California. And they are, in most cases, small, single-family homes with mortgages. And, in fact, there have been 41 facilities in just the past 14 months which have already experienced foreclosure, though the number of foreclosures and bankruptcies are probably even higher than that. But there's no requirement under current law that these residential care facilities for the elderly report severe financial distress to community care licensing. And sometimes these residents learn of their owner's financial problems when the sheriff knocks on the door. And so we've got seniors being displaced, family members with no idea where their parents and family members are being taken to, and it's also costing the state significant money as well because it falls to the state to make sure that these individuals are cared for. So the bill requires notification to act as an early warning system to community care licensing so that they can identify signs of financial distress sooner and also avoid the extreme high costs associated with taking over a facility's closure. The bill will prevent emergency interventions that not only cost the CCL, community care licensing staff, time and resources, but also require resources of additional state agencies such as Adult Protective Services and the Attorney General's office, who must secure care and seek alternative placements for displaced residents. So to explain any further cost savings, we have Tony Chicotel, who's the staff attorney for our co-sponsor, which is the California Advocates for Nursing Home Reform.
Thank you, Senator
And this
Leno.
passed out of Policy Committee unanimously.
It did indeed. And witnesses?
Good afternoon. Tony Chicotel from California Advocates for Nursing Home Reform, a co-sponsor of the bill. I think the consultant's report is spot on, so I don't want to belabor it too much other than to say that we feel that SB 1329 offers a pretty simple solution to a vexing problem for long-term care consumers in the state, and we appreciate your support. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hi, my name is Hilda Estrada, and I'm representing Wise and Healthy Aging's Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. We serve the city and county of LA. I'm here today to share just one of many ombudsman cases that illustrate the need for the passage of SB 1329. Our office received a call from a bank representative stating that they were foreclosing on the home and that they noticed had elderly residents. The home was a residential care facility for the elderly that had capacity for 6 residents. We immediately notified Community Care Licensing. CCL had no knowledge that the facility was being foreclosed, that they had financial troubles, or that the bank was taking possession of the property and that the residents needed to be vacated. When we arrived at the facility that morning, 2 residents were being put in the facility administrator's car. The administrator stated that the residents were being moved to another RCFE and that the family members had been properly notified. When I requested the contact information for the residents' family members, the administrator began calling them, and only then is when she was notifying their loved ones of the move. In addition, the operator had planned on moving the residents to a friend's facility 30 miles away. One of the residents was admitted to the facility after the operator had full knowledge of the impending foreclosure. During the chaos, one of the residents was in a car who passed out. The paramedics had to be called, and the resident was hospitalized. The residents nor the family members had been notified that the facility was in financial trouble. The financial impact of the closure, we needed 2 ombudsmen were on the scene, with our program director was involved providing technical assistance. 2 staff from CCL were on the scene, and also a supervisor providing technical assistance. 2 paramedics, 3 firemen from the fire department. The cost of the ambulance and fire truck, the cost of the hospital stay, and which could have been avoided if the proper planning was done. And 4 family members had to take the day off work to find placement for their loved ones. In most closures of this type, APS would be called to assist with moving residents. SB 1329 would provide cost-effective, more adequate protection for residents and their family members. When a resident,
Very good. We have a motion on the bill. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add? Okay. Any other testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment on this one?
I do not have a file.
We have a motion by Senator Woke. Any further comments? I'll call the roll.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox?
Aye.
Cox, aye. Alquist. Corbett? Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters?
Aye.
Walters, aye. Wolk?
Aye.
Wolk, aye. Wyland?
Aye.
Wyland, aye. Yee? Yee, aye. 8-0.
8-0, and we still have some absent members. Senator Yee, you have 2 items headed to suspense, and I have a note here that you're presenting SB 1271 on behalf of Senator Romero. You want to do that now? So members, will go back to the start earlier in the file. SB 1271 by Senator Romero on the Political Reform Act of 1974. Senator Yee is going to present. This is a due pass, members.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Senators. This is a pretty straightforward. It just simply says that those individuals who participate in the decision-making process of governing body of the public retirement system in California must file a statement of economic interest. What this bill will also do then is to require all public retirement system to attach an appendix to their conflict of interest code that lists each position for which an individual is required to file a statement and post it on the website. This will just simply ensure transparency in the decision-making process. Urgent I vote.
Move the bill.
Thank you, Senator Yee. We have a motion from Senator Cox. Let me ask if there's testimony in favor. Any testimony in favor of 1271 by Romero? Opposition to SB 1271? Seeing none. Finance, do you have a comment?
The Department of Finance is opposed to this measure because it could result in a reimbursable state-mandated local program.
All righty. We have a motion by Senator Cox. Any comments, members? Call the roll, please.
Kehoe?
Aye.
Kehoe, aye. Cox?
Aye.
Cox, aye. Alquist. Corbett? Denham? Leno?
Aye.
Leno, aye. Price?
Aye.
Price, aye. Walters?
Aye.
Walters, aye. Wolk?
Aye.
Wolk, aye. Wyland? Yee?
Aye.
Yee, aye. 7. Wyland, aye. 8-0.
8-0. I will keep it open for Senator Corbett. Senator Yee, do you want to present on SB 1140 and SB 1225?
Just 1140.
Just 1140?
Right.
You're waiving on 1225?
That's correct.
All righty. Let's see. SB 1140 on registration and one-stop voting.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair and Senators. Again, this is a pretty straightforward bill. We, in California, we're in the unenviable position of finding that we rank 41 out of 50 states in terms of voter turnout. Hopefully this will help with that particular problem. I think any time and any way that we can get more people to register to vote and actually vote on for each election, I think is a good thing. And so what this bill will do is to allow a same-day registration and voting. There are, I think, ongoing issues that we have with some of the county election officials, and we will continue to work with them on that. Let me just simply say that this bill is predicated on the fact that there is a VOCAL system in place, and this should, in fact, take care of, I think, a lot of the other costs. Now, what costs we cannot take care of is that if there are going to be more individuals voting, then it is going to cost counties a little bit more money. But it seems to me that if we want a democracy, those are the price that we pay for that particular democracy, in which that urge and I vote. And I've got witnesses.
Thank you, Senator. Testimony in favor?
Yes, Emily Pierce on behalf of California Common Cause. We're very pleased to support this bill. As the Senator said, we're happy to continue working with the Secretary of State's office and also with the county registrars to alleviate some of their concerns about the costs. We would like to point out that we think there are potential cost savings involved with reducing the number of provisional ballots that are cast so often because of registration problems. So we believe this bill would be able to alleviate a great number of the cost of processing those provisional ballots, as well as taking care of all of the overtime that is used to process late registrations in the week leading up to Election Day. So we're pleased to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional testimony in favor of SB 1140? Is there opposition testimony to SB 1140? Seeing none, if there's comments, or Senator Leno has a comment.
Thank you. Do we know how many other states are already doing this?
Yes.
I think Cause may have it. I think at least...
There's a list in the bottom here.
Is there?
About 10 smaller
thank you.
states.
It seems to me that if we want to encourage and enlarge the voting franchise, that this is a good way to do it. And we can take this as best practice of other states.
Well, as you said,
already tested.
As you said, Senator Leno, I think the reality is that in the busyness of our lives now in the world, we don't pay enough attention. And in the heat of the battle of any particular election, that's when a lot of the information starts coming out. And that's when a lot of people do pay attention. We should capture that particular opportunity and get people to be part of that democratic process. And so thank you.
Anyone else then? This is a candidate for suspense. Thank you, Senator Yee. That item goes to suspense, 1140. All right, now we have any members who still need to present. I don't think so. Let's, oh yes, Senator Alquist has a staff person here. She's ill today, so we'll go to Senator Alquist item. That's SB 1236 on the other second page. Medi-Cal utilization control. This is a suspense candidate. Go right ahead.
Madam Chair, members, SB 1236.
And your name, Jean-Paul.
Oh, sorry. Jean-Paul Buchanan for Central Lane Alquist.
Go right ahead.
SB 1236 eliminates red tape and gets money to needy hospitals. It does this by eliminating the treatment authorization request process for designated public hospitals, which are county hospitals and UC hospitals. This elimination of the TAR process will exist while no state general fund monies are at risk. The Department of Healthcare Services in 2003 noted that if the TAR process was eliminated for Santa Clara Valley Medical Center, there would be a savings of $45,000 to $90,000 per year. With the extension of this process to 19 other hospitals, we expect the savings to be much larger than that.
All righty. We will go to your witnesses.
Trudy Johnson, Interim Executive Director and Chief Nursing Officer, Santa Clara Valley Medical Center. The key issues here are that cash flow to Valley Medical Center has been significantly disruptive in this past year with the Department of Healthcare Services reduction in on-site nurse reviewers. We've had significant delay in reviews. This, we estimate, for example, in the last 4 months has resulted in a delay in payment from as much as $4 to $7 million. And the other issue that we would focus on is that we believe that we do a significantly accurate job in doing our reviews. Our denial rate currently with the Department of Healthcare Services is about half of what the state is. We take this process very seriously, and were this process be delegated to us, we would continue that judicious review and enable these reviewers to be able to be deployed to other areas.
All right. Anything else?
No, thank you.
All righty. Next, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Carolyn Jenna with the California Medical Association. Just wanted to thank the author for carrying this bill, as California's physicians contend every day with the administrative hassles of TARS, and we are anxiously awaiting the report to be released by the Joint Legislative Audit Committee, hopefully at the end of this month, on their use. Thank you.
Very good. Any other testimony in favor of Senator Ahlquist, SB 1236? Opposition testimony. Opposition seeing none. Finance, do you have a comment?
No file.
Already, this goes to suspense then, unless seeing no objection. Thank you very much. We hope Senator Ahlquist feels better.
Thank you.
All right. We will go back to the beginning of the file. Senator Romero has an item there, SB 956. She has waived presentation. We are on Senator Romero's SB 956. Is there testimony in favor of the paraprofessional training program? Testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a...
The bill would require an allocation of $5 million from the Workforce Investment Act reserved for specific teacher training. This allocation would reduce funding available for other high-priority training needs.
All righty. Without objection, then, that will go to suspense. Our next item are 2 items by Senator Negrete McLeod. SB 1123, the Real Estate Fund. SB 1123, is there testimony in favor? Is there testimony opposed? Finance, do you have a file on that?
By inhibiting the state's ability to borrow monies from the real estate fund, this bill would limit the available options to address future budget contingencies.
Any comments, members? If not, that item goes to suspense. SB 1141 by Senator Negrete McLeod, Land Use, Airport Land Use Commissions. Any testimony in favor? Any opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment on that one?
Finance estimates that the bill would not have a general fund impact, but would be redirecting monies from the aeronautics account of the State Transportation Fund to fund the startup costs of local airport land use commissions.
Okay. Let's see. Then, without objection, that goes to suspense. Next is Senator Yee's SB 1225 on child care subsidy in San Francisco. Is there testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Finance, do you have a comment on that one? All right. Without objection, then that item will go to suspense. We have about 7 more waived presentations. Then we'll close out the roll, members. If you're out of the room, if you could please report. We need Senator Corbett. We need Senator Denham. We'll go through the roll once. We're now at SB 1160 by Senator Dutton, State Fiscal Analysis. Is there testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Finance, you have a comment?
No file, Madam Chair.
All righty, then without objection, SB 1160 goes to suspense. Next are 2 items by Senator Cedillo, SB 1213 on electronic claims information. Is there testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? All righty, come on up. Finally, we got a customer. Step this way. This is SB 1213, electronic claims information.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Senators, Julianne Broyles here on behalf of the California Association of Joint Powers Authority. We have serious concerns about SB 1213 on the financial side, and first of all, I want to say thank you to your staff for investigating the issue as thoroughly as they did in the analysis. Our concern with this is that all of the operations of the Division of Workers' Compensation are supported through special assessments on employers. While this bill purports to provide no cost to anybody using portal services to their electronic adjudicatory mediation service, at the end of the day, it's the employers who will have to pay for this access through that assessment. Last year, we were hit in 2009 with over an 81% increase in our assessment, about $81 million over the prior year. Today, the support of not just the DWC, but all the other special assessments to support the Labor Commission and others total nearly $500 million. We are very concerned about the growth and the size of these assessments and have very serious concerns, therefore, about this bill and ask for a no vote.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any additional testimony? Finance, do you have a comment on this one?
The Department of Finance is opposed to the bill due to potential but undetermined costs. And note that the 2009 Budget Act does include some funding for stress tests currently being undergone on this system, and believe that should we want to continue this, it should be done through the budget process.
All righty. That is a candidate for suspense. Without objection, it'll go to suspense. And the next item is SB 1460 by Senator Cedillo on student aid eligibility, also a suspense candidate. Any testimony in favor or opposed to SB 1460? Seeing none, Finance, do you have a comment?
I do not have a comment.
Then without objection, it'll go to suspense. Next is Senator Hollingsworth, Vegetation Management. This is SB 1293. SB 1293 on vegetation management. Testimony in favor, testimony opposed. Finance, do you have a comment on this one?
Costs to OPR are estimated to be $50,000 from the general fund, and the fiscal impact to CAL FIRE is unknown, but it could potentially be significant.
All righty. Without objection, then, it goes to suspense. And our next item up is Senator Pavley's 1428 on criminal investigations. Is there testimony in favor? Is there opposition testimony? Seeing none, Finance?
We don't anticipate any state costs with this measure.
All righty. Without objection, then, SB 1428 goes to suspense. All righty. Finally, Senator Steinberg's bill, SB 1474, election of labor representatives. Is there testimony in favor of SB 1474? Is there opposition testimony? All righty. And if you'll come right up, state your name.
Hi, Kelly McKechnie on behalf of Western Growers in opposition. I'd also like to convey California Farm Bureau's opposition as well.
All righty.
Crystal Jack on behalf of the Alliance of Western Milk Producers, California Citrus Mutual, California
What
Grape
kind of producers?
Alliance of Western Milk Producers.
Milk, okay. Good.
California Grape and Tree Fruit League, California Citrus Mutual, Nisei Farmers League, Western Pistachio Association, and the California Tomato Growers Association.
My goodness, that's the whole menu.
I know. I'm sorry.
Cotton?
Well, they're all.
I don't eat that.
They're all in opposition.
All righty. Other than that, though, let's see. Finance, do you have a comment?
The Agricultural Labor Relations Board has not provided us with a fiscal estimate on this bill. However, it is identical or nearly identical to SB 789 from last year, in which they indicated that it would cost approximately $150,000 general fund.
All righty. Without objection, then, that goes to suspense. Okay, members, we will just go now back over. Yeah, we need Senator Corbett and Senator Denham, if he wants to be recorded. Can we find out where Senator Corbett is so we don't have to do this twice? Senator Yee will be with you in 1 second. Senator Price, is he all done? Don't go. I just don't want to lose you. That's it? And I told him he was too old. I don't know what I was thinking about. Hope you feel better. I always say things problem. Dave, do you think Senator Denham's coming back?
I don't know the answer to that,
Is he absent on anything?
I don't know the answer to that. We put out a call, but Madam Chair.
Yes.
Let me just. This thing will only work if you go ahead. It will only work if you go. If you wait.
Sergeant, do we have a ETA on Senator Corbett?
You're too tough. He's so tough.
He is.
But he's not a bad cop. That's the problem. He just gives. And I'm wearing my helmet. Say that. I know that's bad. We don't let dumpster dive.
I never watched it. I know the show. Basically, it wasn't. It would have. And they were destroyed. They had one guy who was the manager, so they had kitchen servants. Yeah. Upstairs downstairs. Around things, you know, they get some huge. Yeah, that's good. And then they have stuff. What's that? Well, and in that show, well, they had and then they fit. I mean, you know, preparations. You don't have to.
Senator Denham? All righty, we'll go through the file one more time. We have about 8 outstanding items. There are a few, we'll tell you right now. We're going to go in file item order. SB 1271 by Romero, SB 1100 by Corbett, SB 1173 by Woke, SB 1272 by Woke, SB 1443 by Semidian, and SB 1329 by Leno. Okay, so we'll go to the top, and Sally will announce the vote count and the chair and the vice chair.
SB 1271 Romero do pass. Kehoe, chair and vice chair are both aye.
Call the absent members.
Alquist, Corbett. Aye. Corbett, aye. Denham. 9-0.
9-0, that bill is out. Next is SB 1100 by Senator Corbett.
Do pass. Chair is an aye. Vice Chair is no. Alquist. Denham. Walters. No. Walters, no. Wyland. No. Wyland, no. Yee. Yee, aye. 6-3.
6-3, that bill is out. Next is SB 1173 by Senator Woke.
Do pass. Chair is an aye vote. Vice Chair is no vote.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Corbett. Aye. Corbett, aye. Denham. Walters. No. Walters, no. Wyland.
No.
Wyland, no. Yee. Yee, aye. 6-3.
6-3, that bill is out. Next is SB 1272 by Senator Woke.
Do pass. Chair is an aye vote. Vice Chair is a no vote.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Corbett. Aye. Corbett, aye. Denham. Yee. Yee, aye. 6-3.
6-3, that bill is out. SB 1443 by Senator Simidian.
Do pass. Chair and Vice Chair are both ayes.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Denham. Walters. Aye. Walters, aye. Wyland.
Aye.
Wyland, aye. Yee. Yee, aye. 9-0.
9-0, that bill is out. The final item is SB 1329 by Senator Leno.
Do pass. Chair and Vice Chair are both aye.
Call the absent members.
Alquist. Corbett. Aye. Corbett, aye. Denham. 9-0.
9-0, that bill is out. Members, thank you so much. That completes the file. We're adjourned.
Thank you, Madam Chair.